anyone first round either. That's nice.
Yeah, so we'll all probably get knocked out first round, but whatever.
That's the way it works, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I like to think that it's going to be Sacramento and Portland in the Western Conference Finals, St. Louis is in the West. Never mind.
Yeah. St. Louis can move back east.
St. Louis can move back east and then play Philadelphia.
Yeah,
and then one of us is guaranteed to win USL Cup.
There you go. Phil, I don't know how you playing the Union would make you win the USL Cup, unless that whole MLS USTL or whatever thing is happening sooner than we think it is.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Anyway, fresh out the box, stop, look, and watch. Ready yet, get set. It's the USL show. I will give $20 American to anyone that's not currently on this call, or anyone that's on this call, if they know that reference.
I don't know it. Someone Google it.
Don't Google it. You can't Google it. I mean, you can Google it, but I'll spoil it. That was the intro to the former Nickelodeon sketch show, All That.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So good. That show was so good.
Yeah, TLC did that song.
You're not that old, man.
It started in 1994, which is the year I was born, and it ran until 2005 when I was 11. So,
Blue had cable as kids.
That show was a little above you at age 11, buddy. That was definitely like for 12 and 13-year-olds.
All right.
I'm kidding.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first postseason version of this iteration of the USL show. I am your host and reference connoisseur, Evan Villela. And like Jim Mora in 2001, playoffs? What are you talking about, playoffs? But we're going to talk about some playoffs. Joining me, it's everyone on this show that's usually here, and all of our teams made the playoffs. So introducing his first year in the playoffs, the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area, the cream in your Irish coffee. In fact, I'm drinking one right now. It's Phil Grooms. What's up, man?
Much, man. I'm so happy.
Happy postseason to you, sir, for the first time, because you're in it.
First time ever. I feel like I need like a big green sports jacket or something to get inside the club.
Yeah, just ask Tony for one of his like track jackets. I'm sure he'll give it to you.
Yeah, track jacket's more appropriate, I think.
Yeah, you seem like a track jacket type manager. Also joining us, also with his team making the playoffs for the first time, the hands down, like far and away the most improved team in USL this year, representing your Portland Timbers too. It's the best parts of Chuck Palahniuk and Elliott Smith, but with 50% more oxygen intake. It's Kevin McCamish.
What's up?
How's it going, man? Happy postseason to you as well.
Why, thank you. We're in the playoffs.
You are.
And I believe I was the only person that probably actually had some faith of that at the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This was the one season when we started it, and we got Cameron Knowles and some of the players they added team. I was like, man, if they're ever gonna do it, this needs to be the season they're gonna do it. Otherwise, I'll never believe in them again. And they did it. It's
true. And also joining us, he's last because, well, he's always last, and also because his team has made the playoffs for about ever now. If USL had an Equestria, he'd be our Rainbow Dash. Saved it. If he hates your team, it's one, because he has the facts to back it up, and two, because you're right. His best dreams recently have been Sacramento Republic beating Cincinnati in the USL Cup final, but he'll take a first-round exit as well. Hi, Pony.
Hey, but yeah, once again, I didn't think Sacramento would do this good. I had them low in playoff team, but they surprised me.
What happens if Sacramento faces Cincinnati in the final? Like, does USL Twitter explode?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it does.
Again. And always, forever and ever exploding. Amen. So what we're going to do... we're going to talk about some news. We're going to talk about the USL release their award winners today, not the team of the year. Those will be tabulated this weekend coming up, I believe, for Monday release. Pretty sure. But we do have the Golden Boot, Golden Glove, and the assist records and all that fun stuff. So we're going to talk about those. And then we're going to get into kind of how we got here as far as the playoff seeding. And then I'll just say, I don't want to break down the playoff matchups too much, because Thursday night we're going to be back recording. It's going to be some of us, all of us. And our good friend Mike Watts, who has somehow agreed to come on the show again, and we're going to do a full playoff matchup preview Thursday night, which will be nice because the first matchup is Friday. So you guys will get that before the festivities kick off proper. But I figured we needed kind of a BS-y episode before we got there, so this is it.
What we excel at.
Yeah.
So the award ballots went out to media, and they're due Friday night.
Friday at 9.
So so I'm assuming if they calculate that shit over the weekend, it'll be Monday, Tuesday.
I would imagine Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, I think last time didn't they release one a day up to the playoffs or up to the final?
Maybe. Oh, I don't like that though.
I think that's what they did last time.
That's probably what they did though. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
anyway,
only 4 things, but all right, whatever.
Well, no, it was the team of the year. I think they did one at a time. Maybe I don't remember.
I thought it was the 4 major awards. It was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They came out.
Whatever.
They have the all league, third team, all league, second team, all league, best 11 or whatever.
I think it's just 1 and 2, but who knows? Guys, Cameron Lancaster was really good this year. He wins the Golden Boot with 25 goals. He beat Matt Fondy's previous Louisville City record of 22, and I believe the previous USL record of 23, right? Tied for second with Orange County's Tomas Enevoldsen and North Carolina's Daniel Rios. And not that Louisville needed a whole lot of help getting into the playoffs this year, but I mean, a lights out season from the Englishman for sure. He scored every 80.8 minutes, I think, was what it came down to.
Ooh, that's
which is unreal.
Over the course of an entire season, that is actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
I'd say for me with these, I'd always would like to see, because we keep adding more and more games to the season, I'd like to see how it compares to past winners.
Yeah.
I know I have to do that sometimes comparing teams year over year, but it's impressive either way to get that many.
Yeah, it is. So Pony, where would you rank this as far as like how impressive it is versus the people surrounding him's talent helping him out? Where would you put him in that race there?
I think if you kind of look at the people surrounding him, you could start going with like Rios as the most impressive in the top 3.
Yeah.
Because I think he had the least help. Maybe you could argue of going down a peg. The next group, maybe Iwasa starts coming in. Maybe Brett, if you want to round on the top 10.
Iwasa's been doing something with nothing a lot this season, I feel like.
Yeah, Sacramento doesn't score a lot of goals, and he's been pretty useful.
Right, and they kind of just launch it to him, and he does the rest at times. But
for the most part.
Yeah. That's interesting. I always think of Enevoldsen as someone that's like a system guy that helped him a lot. But,
yeah, he has to be in that MVP race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at the list now. I mean, there's not a lot of them that don't have a good team surrounding them, so it's not too big of an argument.
Well, and I think any way you put it, a guy being able to convert that consistently is something special, because we've all seen forwards get hot, but we've also seen forwards cool off at the same time. And especially for Lancaster to be as consistent as he is and everything like that, like that's massive.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I think we need to acknowledge that a Bob Lilly coached player ended up top 10 in goals scored.
Fair.
I don't know. That's pretty impressive.
Which one?
Nico Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaks in there at the bottom end of the top 10 list.
Funny.
Good on him. Other awards, this one not necessarily, well, I mean, Emmanuel Ledesma gets the assist record with 15, previously held by Matthew Dahlman of Pittsburgh in 2013, which is a great name. That's a remember some guy name for sure. And Chris Wehan more recently with Reno in 2017. Ledesma, also the first player in modern USL history to join the 15-15 club, 15 goals, 15 assists in a season. Yeah, I mean, as much as we joke like, oh, how many of these players are going to be, on this team for MLS next year? Ledesma's on any MLS team.
Gotta be.
Didn't they already sign him?
Yeah, he's already there through next year.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So
yeah,
does that
so I
mean
mean,
signed to an MLS contract for next year already? Is that
I believe
they
so.
will terminate his USL contract and sign him to a similar MLS deal. I think.
Hmm.
I just know that they have a couple guys. I forget who the other ones are that are baked in. That it's hey, like if we get MLS, we get to sign you to an extension.
if we're gonna bring up, I'm really curious if any of the guys on Cincinnati are on the allocation list, even and if there's a rule like where if he's already signed to that team, he's automatically allowed to sign. Wouldn't it be weird if Ledesma someone had the rights to him already?
Yeah. No, I think they're honestly smart enough that they went, all right, who's not in the allocation list, so that way we can just not have to worry about it.
I could see MLS
Anyway,
too. It's just something I was
Yeah.
randomly.
but yeah, not to talk about next year a whole lot, but this year, I mean, for all the crap that we give those guys and everything, and calling them out for being attendance FC or fussy or whatever. Sometimes players just do things and you go, that's a hell of a year. And Ledesma certainly, I mean, there's a lot of guys on that team, but a hell of a year from him, and a guy that honestly, I don't think he stays in the States for a whole lot longer, just given how good he is. I think there's probably some interest in Europe, but we'll see. And then, yeah, this one's weird. Stay tuned. I think Brandon Miller is going to do a podcast about goalkeepers from this year, which will be really exciting. Details TBD, and it's also going to be off of his podcast and not this one necessarily. Evan Newton wins Golden Glove. He has a 0.80 goals allowed and a 77.8 save percentage in 20 appearances. Where this gets a little weird is the guys that he beat out were Pittsburgh's Dan Lynn, who had a 0.81 goal allows in 25 appearances, and Nashville's Matt Pickens, who put up a 0.9 goals allowed with 30 appearances. So, I don't get this.
That doesn't make any sense to me either, because,
right.
I mean, Pickens and Lind, but if you're going to go on goals against average, then Lind, with hands down, takes it because he's got more appearances. That means he did more work to get a almost identical goals against average.
Right, and then Pickens
why would you even consider Evan Newton at all? And then and then Matt Pickens, he's played almost every game, 30 appearances. That's what
he missed 4.
Missed 4 games. And 0.9 is nothing to be shy about. So across that many games, that's an amazing keeper.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they go by their minimum appearance number, and whoever has less goals allowed at maybe 16 games, something like that, half the season, or 17 games, they win it. And whoever that one defender is, because Lynn allowed 2 goals in this last game, and one was a gift because a defender just gave the ball away for a clear one-on-one breakaway. That guy needs to buy Lynn a beer because he cost him the Golden Glove with that giveaway.
Yeah, that's a dinner.
For sure. Nice dinner at that.
Well, the other thing, you also have to look at how many shutouts did they get. Now, part of a shutout is the defense in front of you. So, for me, it's Pickens had a really good defense in front of him. Nashville was the second best defense in the league.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that helps him, but part of having a good defense is being a good keeper and directing your players. So, I mean, all of that, I know Pickens had one of the most amounts of shutouts, if not the top amount of shutouts.
I think all 3 of these guys had the most clean sheets this year too.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember looking at it earlier today when I was doing the keeper of the year voting, and I just know I picked Matt Pickens, so it wasn't even on my radar. What you gonna do?
Yeah, if you're going defenses, it was Pittsburgh 1, Nashville 2, and then Cincinnati was tied for 4.
Yeah,
cool.
So,
yeah. Anyway, there's different ways to vote for goalkeeper of the year.
And the other thing that's sorry, Phil. The other thing that's weird is that Newton isn't really by definition, that's not your number one keeper really, because they played keeper by committee so much, and it is weird to try to do this in USL just because there's MLS 2 teams where at least Bethlehem, for example, don't have a goalkeeper signed to their roster at all. they'll either use McGuire or McCarthy, or they'll bump up Romero.
Well, and the other thing, talking about two teams, is if the first team gets a goalkeeper injury, who are they going to go for? They're going to go for the person that is probably the best keeper on your two side. Right. I know that Gleason was injured for a while, and McIntosh had a backup at Nella. I think Atnella was injured, and then McIntosh backed up Gleason. However, it worked out. Like McIntosh spent a lot of time having to be a backup.
Right. This isn't best keeper in the league voting, just like the assists and Golden Boot. Those aren't MVP voting. It's something to factor into, but it's not the same straight up.
Yeah.
It's just who had the best stat run, and Newton, with less games played, won it. And he is a good keeper. I think I have him like number 5 in the league for keepers, but
yeah, for sure.
The numbers say what the numbers say. He won it outright.
I think he won because he shares a first name with 2 of the people on this podcast.
So I'm sure that helps.
Could we have that much influence?
I do. Yeah.
So he had a higher save percentage than the other 2 as well, where
I think, I don't know. I mean, that's the other thing, is if he gets 100 more shots against him and he saves more of them, then that's going to matter.
So I just looked up. Lind has way lower. It's like 68%. But
Lind also broke an orbital bone.
So he missed a good chunk of the year.
But Pickens was right below him at like 76%. So what I voted based on those stats. But again, what Tony said makes sense.
Yeah. So here's how I want to do the rundown as far as going over the results this week. What I did was, and please USL, make this easier for me, I pulled up a cached version of the USL table from week 33 on ESPN's website and ran that against the week 34 table on USL's website. And I went from there. So, starting with, do we want to do Eastern Conference or Western Conference first? I don't know.
Go East. All right. East. You wrote it down that order, and
it's a little cleaner. So week 33, what we were looking at was Cincy in first place, Louisville in second place, Pittsburgh in third, Charleston 4, Indy 5, Red Bull 6, Nashville 7, Bethlehem 8, Ottawa 9, North Carolina 10. Those were the teams that could still make it in. What we ended up with was Cincy 1, Louisville 2, Pittsburgh 3, Charleston 4, Red Bull 2, 5, Bethlehem 6, Indy 7, Nashville 8, North Carolina, and Ottawa out, but they actually switched positions with each other. So the eliminated teams, it worked out. Saturday, it was Ottawa playing Charleston. Ottawa needed, a win here. Yep. Yeah. Didn't get it. It's a tough ask against a playoff team like the Battery. Gordon Wild with a phenomenal strike in the 14th. Van Tessen adds one in the 60th. And that did it for Ottawa.
I actually don't think it was that much of an ask. Charleston played most of their second string. And if you can't beat the fourth seed playing a majority second string, you aren't a playoff team.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, but you got Wild and you got Van Tessen. Those aren't anything to shake.
Yeah, I think they had a third of their regulars playing.
Yeah, it was enough to get the win and really lock up fourth for them.
Yeah, it avoids the disaster scenario to me where it was possible for Ottawa to make the playoffs, Nashville missed the playoffs, and the goal differential between the two teams to be about 20 in Nashville's favor. And that would have been a complete joke, but we don't have to deal with that. So I'm glad, because that would have been a long rant.
Continue as you were, USL. Everything's fine.
Actually, could change that.
No need to change that first time.
Nope, change it.
Oh, it's always funny because around this time of the year, we're always like, "Oh yeah, goal," and then we're like, "Oh wait, no, it's wins." All right.
Why?
Which punishes the teams who don't lose but just draw a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Nashville. And then the other funny one, and actually we'll stop complaining for a bit because this would have come down to goal differential, and in fact did. North Carolina 3, Charlotte 1 on Saturday. Rios gets a brace, 3rd minute, 87th minute. Miller scores in the 90th minute. Charlotte, Jorge Herrera with a really nice goal in the 6th. North Carolina win, but they needed to win by 7, and hope that Bethlehem didn't score at all. So probably the most that North Carolina could have feasibly done, really. Like if that goal differential was a little tighter, this might have been enough, but it wasn't. And that pretty much did it for them, unfortunately. Barring a steal loss, I suppose. And in your seeding matchups, Saturday, Louisville City beat Indy 11 off of a Cam Lancaster penalty, which means that Indy didn't lock up 5th place, which they probably would have liked. And then Pittsburgh with a really bad week. Draw Atlanta away 1-1. Kissiadu scores in the 52nd minute after Pittsburgh. Did we ever figure out Van Kazeel, maybe? Sure.
Looks
in the
close
27th.
enough.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Which prevented Pittsburgh from moving up to 2nd place. And then the Red Bull win later that week, 2-1 over Pittsburgh.
Wait,
gave Red Bull...
Pittsburgh got a goal?
Yeah, they scored like 93rd minute or something crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was at the death of that one. It didn't matter, but
I know
they
I
actually
watching that when New York got their second goal.
Yeah, they had a penalty early second half maybe that would have made it 1-1.
Yeah,
and
yep, it was saved. I saw that.
Forbes, I think, had it saved, right?
Yeah.
So that gives Steele 6th instead of 5th, which means Pittsburgh will play Bethlehem. Because of Bethlehem beating Tampa Bay 1-0. Michi Galina with a goal, 13th minute, which was his 6th, which is the tie for a Bethlehem rookie. He's been phenomenal. Really ugly game. The pitch was in really bad shape because Lehigh University had their homecoming football game Saturday. And then the officiating in that was literally the worst I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah. Glad that no one was injured in that one. Glad that Tampa Bay showed up because they very well could have just rolled over and died, but they certainly did not. Bethlehem's first win over Tampa gives them a good bit of momentum going into that game against Pittsburgh, which should be packed. Nashville really liked to make things interesting. A win against Toronto would have put them on 51 points, which probably would have gotten them 5th place, maybe. And then the draw against Cincinnati prevents them from 7th place because they would have had the tiebreak over Indy on goal differential if they won that game. LaGrassa scores twice LaGrassa scores in the 63rd for Nashville against Toronto. Allen gets one in the 72nd, and then TFC score 2 late to prevent Nashville from clinching playoffs, midweek. And then they get a really weird 3-3 draw. Tucker Hume, 5th minute against Cincinnati. He really likes scoring there, which could be fun this weekend. And then Corbin Bone, 52nd minute. Allen scores in the 80th for Nashville, makes it 2-1. Corbin Bone comes right back with the... I'm out of... Braces confuse me. Nazab Adawi gets one in the 63rd for Cincinnati, make it 2-1 Cincinnati. Allen scores in the 80th, and then Boluak and Yode ties it in the 90th after Bone scored in the 81st. So a 3-3 draw there, which, Nashville really didn't want to make things easy for themselves.
Yeah, that game with Cincinnati was really confusing because Nashville has had a hard time scoring all year and then puts 3 in against Cincinnati while allowing 3 goals as the second best defensive team in the league. And that was their 3rd game of the season, and they've all drawn. So this could be a really interesting first round matchup, and probably my favorite one to watch. If I'm going to be watching just one game, this would probably be it. Yeah. I never thought it'd be the 1 and 8 seed is the most intriguing game, but here we are. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, I know I've seen some Cincy plays. Well, there's bad pitch, late goals, stuff like that. But a fluke is one game. A fluke is Louisville losing in Toronto. A fluke is not 3 draws against the same team. Yep. This is the absolute worst opponent Cincinnati could have drawn in the first round.
Could be. Yeah. I agree with that.
Now, if this game goes to penalties because they're going to end in a draw, who do you favor in a penalty shootout, Newton or Pickens? Since we were talking about keepers earlier.
Well, I know Newton won the shootout over Salt Lake.
But is Newton going to start the playoff game?
I don't know.
He might not even start the playoff game.
I think just judging what I've seen last year, Newton is better against penalty kicks.
Sub your keeper because you get one in the extra time now in the playoffs.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
You get a fourth sub.
119th minute goalie change.
Yep.
I've seen it happen when it happened in did it happen in the 2014 World Cup, or was that an earlier?
I think so. Yeah.
I just remember Netherlands put Tim Krul one day at the end for.
If they're close in talent and save percentage kind of things, I would definitely play the one better at saving penalties because it's such a key component.
If you think you need it, why not?
It's huge. What is it? 2 or 3 games were decided in the West last year in the playoffs from penalty kicks. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was. I know Sac Salt Lake was, and Oklahoma City Swope Park. That was a game that went to the 11th round of penalty kicks.
Right. Yeah, and I want to say San Antonio as well. I may be wrong about that, but Harry's listening. He'll tell us.
It might be. I know those two off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Sunday pretty much came down to Bethlehem wins and they're in and they do it, which it's always nice when you're able to control your own destiny. Hint for the Western Conference, and you get it done. Speaking of the Western Conference, moving to the West. Again, if your team was not involved in the playoffs, I'm sorry. Please understand. It's just not worth anybody's time. It would be like if, which I'll take this time to thank everyone that's been on the show this year, which has been way too many people. So, like, talking about a playoff team now would be like me literally listing all of the people that we've had on the show. I could feasibly do it, but like, it's not going to be nice for anybody.
I'm not sure you can without your notes, so I'll call your bluff.
Oh, you're right.
Here's the thing too with the West, like was there were 9 good playoff quality teams and 8 spots, and that was like for like the final third of the season. Nobody else was realistically sniffing it too much.
Yeah.
So like the one team that didn't make it, that's a heartbreaker for sure.
Yeah, especially I think the way they didn't make it.
Yeah,
which is.
Well, here we go. So, week 33, if I'm wrong here, someone correct me. Clinched teams, not seeding, but teams that clinched: Orange County, Phoenix, Sacramento, Monarchs, Reno, Timbers 2. So that's 1 through 6. Yeah.
Yep.
Teams that were on the bubble: Swope Park, San Antonio, St. Louis. Game in hand, they were only on 32, and St. Louis had a game in hand on 32 as well. What we ended up with, week 34, Orange County, Sacramento, Phoenix, Salt Lake, Reno, Timbers 2, Swope Park, St. Louis at 8, and San Antonio in 9th. How did San Antonio get eliminated? Well, they drew Rio Grande Valley FC, which didn't help. Guzman Zavala gets the goal for San Antonio on the 24th. Small gets the goal for RGV. Again, if San Antonio won, that's it. And we're done. And they're in the playoffs, and it's great.
Well, no.
No? About? Almost? Kind of?
They would, if they won, they got into the Swope Park draw.
Okay.
They opened one extra door.
Right. Okay.
Because during the same time, St. Louis drew, so they were outside of San Antonio's reach at that point.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, Swope played the next day.
Right. Okay. So yeah, for that 16 hours, they were good.
Yeah, it hurt their chances, but it didn't. It hurt their chances, but they weren't going to be locked in either way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. On Wednesday, towards the top of the table, Phoenix lose to Vegas 5-2. Garcia gets a penalty. Well, actually, sorry. Fernandez starts things off for Phoenix, which I'm sure they were very happy about. 2nd minute goal. Vegas scores a penalty in the 43rd for them. Vegas goals in the 29th, a penalty. Garcia. Garduno in the 71st, which you're like, all right, it's a draw. Mendiola in the 74th. Alvarez in the 79th. And Ochoa in the 84th. Vegas blows out Phoenix, meaning that they just kind of go, whoever wants to win here, feel free to take first place from us. And not only do they do that, Kev, they also play Timbers 2 on what, Saturday night?
Yep.
And lose 1-0 at home.
And
in what
I didn't see that coming either, because that most of that entire game, like the field was pretty thoroughly shifted in Phoenix's favor. And in my experience, not just this season but in previous seasons, I'm like, well, T2 is just bound to give up a late goal here. I mean, I'm just waiting for
Instead, they get one.
They get one, and I'm still like, okay, Phoenix is going to get 2 late goals, or 1 late goal is going to draw. Like, how's it going to happen?
Drogba's going to score 3 times in 4 minutes or something, and like high five his own bobblehead and like do a set with Diplo before he takes a corner.
It's entirely possible, but yeah, and no, but T2 did the work. They did the job, and they got. Not that it really helped them. It would have bumped them up from 7th, or bumped them up from 7th into 6th, and now they get to do the exact same thing all over again, which is travel to Phoenix. And can you make it happen twice, or was that a one-time deal? We'll find out on Friday.
Yeah, and Phoenix has reason to be upset, because I know in that game against Vegas, I missed the first half, but in the second half, there was I thought it was a very clear red card for Vegas that got missed right before Vegas broke it open. It's one of those 2-foot studs up tackles that the ref goes, just take a yellow for some reason. And apparently there was a first half incident too that Phoenix people are saying should have been a red card. So might have been a little bit lucky for Vegas, but it worked. And
I felt Phoenix like this week a lot of the referees were like, well, it doesn't matter unless it's a red card. So like, I'm just not going to show anybody anything.
Well, it's also Vegas, so I think it's finished with 99 yellow cards on the season and like 550 fouls.
Good Lord.
Yeah, don't mess with Vegas or they will cleat you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they bring in a coach that can play some discipline next year.
The Phoenix coach had definitely had some comments. He was heated after the T2 game. He was like, I'm sick and tired of playing against 12 people. Some other stuff. I don't know if USL would do any like fines. I know if it was MLS, those comments are going to cost you some Garber bucks, but I don't know how it works out.
Tired of playing against 12 people.
He called, like, I don't know if he was calling all the refs or just the ARs, but he was calling them local amateurs. Paraphrasing here, like local people that just didn't care or didn't know the game or something like that. I mean, he was just outright insulting these guys. And to be fair, after the Vegas game and then the refs were in the T2 game, that they were not very consistent at all. I can totally admit they were not consistent. And he was like, like, I'm sick and tired. Like, we didn't need these calls going our way at the end, because it was just evidence that the refs didn't know what they were doing. They were trying to make up missed calls from earlier. It's like, they're not professionals. Like, this is a professional game. This is people's livelihoods on the line. Like, how can they give us these unprofessional referees, these people that don't know what they're doing? And I was like, whoa.
He was really upset.
He was pissed.
He also worked in, like, and these teams just come out here and bunker against us, and that was when he fit in. We're playing against 12 men because of the refs. I mean, he was really worked up. I wish I could.
They're afraid of us. It's like, okay, well, that means you're doing good, right? If teams are afraid of you, like, they respect your power. There's a game plan to it. But yeah, like, they're afraid of us. They're bunkering in, and these refs are just this and that. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was shockingly blunt. And
I'll apologize to our friends in Phoenix before I say this, because I know they listen. It's really easy to be frustrated, but I'm also really surprised that he was able to say anything in the press conference because of how much choking they did that week. So,
burn. Well, I mean, I wonder if he's worried about his job, because
no. Listen, his job is certainly fine, but
he's interim, right?
The second, what's that?
No,
isn't he's not the interim anymore?
He was, but
no, not now. No.
Okay, cool.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness, you lose 2 games to teams that, especially the first one, you should beat. And in the second one, it's okay. It's another playoff team, but you're at home. It's, one of Drogba's final matches as a professional. and you kind of backslide into the playoffs, and you could have had the first seed, which would have been, a lot better matchup for you guys, I would think. Like, sorry, Phil, but Phoenix would much rather play you than Portland Timbers 2 again.
Oh yes, so they should, yeah.
And if you're Chance, you're really upset, and if I'm sure the team talk after was not pleasant. But at the same time, if you think that you got, screwed over or whatever by the referees, or if you're tired of teams sitting back and playing scared against you because you're a really good offense, I don't not understand where he was coming from.
A lot of his stuff was not at all unfounded.
Right.
And the thing, and what I would do is I would look at the bright side, like you get right away a chance for revenge, and when that chance actually matters a bit in the grand scheme of things, this upcoming match where they're at home against T2 again, a chance for revenge, this means more than the final home match, because like if you win this one, then you keep going to the playoffs, whereas if you lose it again, then you can start asking some questions, look at yourself in the mirror and go, what? So
yep. I think it's easy too for amateur referees to see them and give them cards, because they are one of the biggest, most athletic teams. I think physically stature. They're just giants. They're really big guys, and they're talented on top of being athletic. So, it's easy for a ref to feel like these guys are just mowing over the opponents and they deserve a card here and there. I think that's part of it, but yeah, just wanted to fit that in there, because when I talk to St. Louis players, St. Louis has gotten rolled by them twice now, and every time they're like, they're so friggin' athletic, they're so big, and then they can beat us with their attack, and they know how to defend as well. It's just a tough team to play.
Yeah.
Well, look at Phoenix didn't have too many cards against them. They were tied for 21st.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
St. Louis, and they got away with a lot in our game, I feel like, but.
It was kind of interesting looking at it. That the team with the most yellow cards who made the playoffs was Cincinnati, who was 9th. So people who got cards didn't make the playoffs.
Interesting.
Imagine.
I think you're going to get one.
Like putting yourself at a disadvantage during regular season games.
Still, you think you're going to get one team who gets carded a lot but still makes playoffs, but that's actually pretty impressive.
That's really good.
That's good to know that it typically works that way. That makes me feel better.
Hey, Phil, speaking of things typically working that way, Wednesday, you guys clinch your first playoff berth.
Not on Wednesday. It was still a little bit out, but we did.
Terrible at this.
Sorry.
It's like we're here to help out.
No, I mean, I would much rather you be like, no, it wasn't until Saturday or whatever, but like,
But they had to take care of, they needed 4 points this week or this last week. So a win against Tulsa gave them 3 of the 4. And then the draw against OKC, who didn't seem to care to want to be there in the first place, worked out just great for St. Louis. And so, took care of business. But, Wallfall is out. This is something I mentioned earlier, and he's still gone. Perhaps he'll come back for the playoffs, I hope. But if not, then St. Louis would have to scrap out a win against a really good OC side in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah.
So again, that's the injury watch. Also, Kyle Gregg is out as of this week. Another.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
St. Louis at least drew twice against OC this year, so.
Yeah, they're the one team that's like in the top 4 that they've had good luck with for some reason. So that's encouraging. If they scrap out a win against anyone in the top 4, I think OC might be the team to do it against.
Hey, it's the first seed curse.
Right.
Yep. West now 3 years straight. First seed loses first round.
And you can bet, I mean, Pony, you said defense wins league titles, and that's what St. Louis is going to rely on, especially missing their 2 best attackers, in my opinion. So it could happen.
And then a couple other quick ones that just kind of locked up seeding. Monarchs beat Fresno on the road 1-0 on Saturday. Charlie Adams scores in the 37th minute. The Reno win from earlier that week means that Monarchs place. And then Saturday, Sacramento won, Vegas nothing, Kamawasa in the 55th. Sacramento kind of take advantage of Phoenix sliding down the ladder, and they bump up to second place, and they'll play. Who do they have? in the where's Sacramento Swope Park late Saturday night.
Yeah, and then this was the game Sacramento had the Harding, the Make-A-Wish kid got a play. That's a good one to mention. I know if you see USL Goal of the Week, that's basically the default winner because that was a really cool moment that the team did. And kudos to Vegas for letting it happen as well. With your 500 fouls. Good job for not tackling him.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. I was like, oh, wow, Pony. We're going to finally do something and not have a joke at the end of it. And that'll be really great.
Nope.
Because I was going to be like, yeah, like for people that didn't see it, I know it's on YouTube. I think they tweeted it out this morning too. I forget the kid's name, Matt something or another.
Yeah, I think it's Harding.
Make-A-Wish.
Matt Harding. But yeah. Harding.
Okay, cool. Scored in literally the first minute of the match, like on the clock. Didn't count. Although, hell, Cam Wallace's goal, who cares? Matt Harding scores in the first minute. No, but it was a really cool moment. I'm so sorry that we can't be nice people for 2 seconds.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, all respects to Vegas. Just had to throw in that jokes that we had just talked about Vegas having a lot of fouls.
Oh yeah, but fair play to him to say, yeah, again, that's one of those things. It's easy enough to, find a minute of play.
Yeah.
An extra time to accommodate for that. So really cool moment, really, really touching. I got a little
for that. He beat like 2 defenders and the keeper. So
it was really good.
Come on.
Yeah. It was like a good hit too. Like better goal than I've ever.
Yeah. He actually looked pretty healthy.
I mean, so we only give out when we're comfortably behind our computers. So if Rick Shantz wants to say that to my face, I can't. So that's fun. So guys, like I said before, we get Mike Watts here on Thursday, but I figured before he comes in and once again tells us that we're wrong all the time, even though he didn't last time. So here's hoping. I'm just going to throw out the playoff matchups, and then if there's anything you guys think is going to happen that's a little bit out of the ordinary, feel free to let me know. So things kick off Friday night, the 19th, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Phoenix Rising FC versus Portland Timbers 2. Saturday, it's a full slate. Starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. Real Monarchs and Reno kick off. Charleston and Red Bull 2 play at 7. And, well, my times are effed up, whatever. Cincy and Nashville play at 4. Pittsburgh and Bethlehem at 7. Louisville and Indy 11 at 7:30. Orange County and St. Louis, your nightcap. Well, one of the 2 late games at 10 o'clock, and Sac Republic and Swope Park at 10:30. So, anybody with any takeaways, and I guess how are our collective teams feeling about the playoffs this year?
I think T2 goes out in the first round.
I was about to say the exact, not the same thing, but like they've got the worst draw. I feel like Phoenix, nobody wanted to play in the first round.
But Phoenix has been banged up.
I guess, but they still have
I know Asante was sitting. Cortez, I think, went out in the Las Vegas game with an injury early on. And if both those guys are down, that gives T2 a good chance.
Asante played against T2.
Okay, I know I think he rested the Vegas game.
Yeah, and then they had Kevon Frater playing a lot. He was really, really active, but he couldn't get anything past Mangles on Saturday night. But no, I mean T2 or Phoenix went like they were shooting like crazy. The T2 defense surprisingly held up for 90 minutes for once.
Yeah, if Phoenix is healthy, I think they win it.
Oh, for sure.
Like not the game, the entire cup. I think they win it if they're healthy.
Oh, well, I'm fine with that. I want OC to go all the way.
I kind of do too.
I kind of want OC. The way I look at it is like if by some chance Cincinnati get past the first round, who then in the West can take out Cincinnati in the USL Cup?
I don't think it's OC though. I don't think it's OC.
Probably not. I think Phoenix could.
Phoenix could.
If Orange County wins the USL Cup, if they don't say anything to us, we're just going to do it. Can we send them a box set of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
As long as
we
have to all autograph it though.
Well, for sure, we're gonna.
I was gonna say a box set of the show or like an autographed Lauren Conrad photo.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Okay, fair.
We could auction off one of them to the viewers for 10 cents.
But if
Oh, the
OC
box set.
if OC win the USL Cup and I picked them 5th round in our team draft, I will never let you guys hear the end of it.
So we'll give you the box set. Okay.
I think I had Sacramento in the 5th round.
So
You had Sacramento in the 4th or 5th round, yeah.
Phil, how you feeling? Are you just happy to be here at this point? Like, is that?
Oh yeah, no Oh my gosh, guys, this is really. I should have just sat here and talked about what it was like to be.
You should have.
Louis that night instead of the game itself, because, St. Louis fans have been so hungry for this, like just so hungry, and they sold out the place. It was the highest attendance ever. I don't know if it was a coincidence that they announced MLS the same week as the playoff push. I seriously think that wasn't a coincidence, and it worked. I mean, tons of people there. Everyone rushed the field with, basically with the blessing of our center mid Tony Walls, and it was just awesome. Fireworks started about 5 or 10 minutes after everyone was screaming and chanting for 5 minutes.
The match ended.
No, not before, but I mean, it was just.
How can we confuse everybody?
Everyone hung out all night, just wandering around. I hugged every single St. Louis player and tons of fans. I got home and my wife was like, "Why do you smell funny?" And I was like,
"She doesn't know."
Hugged a lot of sweaty boys and had beer poured on me all over the place. That's
nice.
But no, it was such a cool atmosphere, and St. Louis fans are just thrilled that we're in, and it just speaks well to next year's chances as well to finally bring back a roster. That's where St. Louis.
Man.
Yes, thanks for asking that, because I mean we are absolutely thrilled, so happy. So
I know it meant a lot to you. You guys have been close, literally the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
well, and it's not for trying. That's the hardest part.
Seriously.
St. Louis the front office made good decisions. They got a coach like Preki that they thought would pay off, and they gave him everything he asked for, and it just didn't work out. And who saw that coming? Here's Poulos, kind of a guy who wants to be big. He wants to be a bigger thing, and it worked. What he did worked this year.
Yeah. So, to talk on Bethlehem for a second, I learned my 2 new favorite facts, actually my 3 new favorite facts, in order of how cool I think they are and how crazy they are. Bethlehem Steel have never lost with Benefemu in their starting lineup, which is crazy because he just turned 18 a week ago. So that's insane. It's like in 14 games or something. The other 2 facts,
never lost, like they've won every single game, or they're just undefeated
with Benefemu in their lineup, meaning they have won or drew every game with him in their starting 11, which is insane because he's a child, even though he looks like he's about 28 physically. The other 2 that are really fun. So until they play on Saturday, Bethlehem Steel have played precisely 100 matches, exactly 100 matches, in fact. And I don't know if I spoiled this in our group DMs, so if I did, I'll just say it real quick. But did I tell everyone / did anybody guess on that? On how many have been unique starting 11s?
Oh my god,
99 of them? I don't know.
98.
9.
Oh, really?
They went a perfect 34 for 34 in different lineups this year, but they have had 2 that have repeated, and I imagine that would have been the first year. But yeah, they have played 98 games, they've played 100 games, 98 different starting 11s.
That's so weird.
Which is insane. A couple of the guys that were at the game but not on the bench for the game were in the press box. And when the club communications guy said that, I'll curse, but I apologize. It was AJ Patterson, Mike Catalano, and Prosper were in the box like next to us, and AJ goes, "Wait, say that again?" And then we tell him, and then he goes in, and I hear him tell Mike Catalano, and Catalano just goes, "Holy shit!" Like, because it's one of those things where, like, I asked the guys after, they're like, we don't even think about that until just now. So, like, They talk about it all the time, but hats off to them for making that work and getting into the playoffs for 2 years in a row, because that's insane.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's the choice of
Yes.
the coach? Or
Yeah, well, so like, the first team dictates who you get, and then they can also put minute caps on guys. So they'll say, hey, give Anthony Fontana 60 minutes or whatever. And you have to do it. Now to the credit of the organization as a whole, so from the first team all the way down to the academy and back up again, 3 years in, all of the guys in the organization know what that team's like, because you have guys like Austin Trusty and Mark McKenzie, who, especially Truss, has played like every minute for the first team, and he was with Bethlehem and came up through the academy. So you have guys that know what that's like. And a guy like Matt Riel, who played his heart out, on Sunday, and even Fabian Herbers, who came down for like his third appearance for either team this year and won like every aerial ball, like out of nowhere. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird spot to be in, but I think, year one compared to year three, the philosophy of all that makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot easier to get results for the USL side when there's a lot more movement in the lineup. Yeah.
I like it.
There you go.
It got you into the playoffs.
They're really excited to play Pittsburgh, because the last time they lost a game was against Pittsburgh, and they were very bad, and I was there in person. So, yeah.
And Pittsburgh looks a little vulnerable right now, so
They do, don't they? And they just got their new stands finally put in. So there's a potential to have 2,000 more people there than normal. We'll see.
Pittsburgh, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Good for them.
Yeah, they added to their supporters section. So we'll see.
I feel like the best
Nothing.
matchups are
Go for it.
the 5 versus 4 seeds, and that makes sense. I feel like the seeding was pretty spot on. Like I would rank these.
Yeah, Charleston Red Bull would be fun, and then who's the 5 and 4 in the West?
It is Reno and Real Monarchs.
Yeah, it's not bad to
watch.
Yeah, I think, well, at least to me, I think New York's gonna beat up Charleston at this point.
Really
they should.
Later podcast, but I don't have much trust in Charleston right now.
Yeah. Kev, what are your preliminary thoughts, I suppose?
For all the different matchups?
Yeah, or just pick one, whatever. We're going to talk about it on Thursday. So
It's called a teaser.
Yeah, that's what
Hot
you do.
take.
I think Nashville wins in PKs in the first round.
Cool.
I'd like to note that I was not the one who said that. I think Cincinnati wins, but it's close.
Please direct all your hate tweets to @KMcCamishPDX. Thank you so much.
Or at ILM_Ryan.
Oh yeah, he's not here to defend himself.
Didn't he say Nashville wins like 5-0?
Did he?
I don't know.
That's some nonsense. I'm kind of mad
He
about
might
that
have.
on the internet.
He could have said anything for all anybody else knows.
That's mean. Ryan's gonna get so many bad DMs.
No. People still think that he's like 5.
They don't freak out that much, do they? No. When you're obviously joking. Oh God, my Twitter's already blowing up.
Sarcastic? What's that?
Just need to chill out. Slow your roll.
Yeah. So I think we're done. So let me get out of here by saying, thank you to our sponsors, who I didn't talk about on the top of the show because I'm a terrible person.
Hold
on. We're not done? What do I need yet?
We're going to talk about the pick'ems.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Kev, you get a minute to do whatever the hell you want because you won the pick'ems or whatever.
I didn't win. Well, I did, but it's the official point standings for the pick'ems at the end of the season. Evan, you had 358 points. Yeah. Let's see. Phil, you had 400. Pony at 432. Ryan at 433. And I think the only reason why that works out is because we were subtracting our minimum scores. So Pony had to take out 9 points versus Ryan 7. So it really should be 1 point the other way around.
But yes, it should.
Yeah, because I was super irresponsible, pretty much. So
yeah, I think everyone except myself and Ryan forgot to submit at least 1 week.
Oh yeah.
For me, like
no, I didn't forget because I had my minimum was 7.5 points.
Okay, I think it might have been one that you like missed the midweek games.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one where I think that week 15 where I didn't get, or another week I missed some points. But anyway, I did win everything with 500.5 points.
Yeah, we need to make the perfect score prediction count less. We just need to win, draw, or who wins, or it's a draw next year, I think.
Yeah.
Because those 3-point-1s really, Kevin hit like so many on the head.
Yeah.
But it was inconsistent. Like there were like towards the end, the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, I got them pretty good. Like I had like 23 points one week, 18 the next, 23.5, and then 24 to round out the last 2 weeks. But it was. I mean, I did have the highest average at 16 points, but it was there. I swung a lot of like 10s and 11s.
Yeah, it's just the one dead-on score is worth like 2 correct picks.
Yep. Yeah, we can change around because for people that didn't know, when we picked a result and the score line. And so if you got the score of either the home or away team correct, you get a half point. If you got the result correct, you get 1 point. So you could potentially get 1.5 points if you got, the correct result and one of the 2 scores. If you got the whole thing perfect, you got 3 points.
Kev, as promised, I will give you an honest to God full American minute to say whatever you want.
I don't have anything to say to the world. Although, I'll tell you what, if anybody out there wants to move to Portland and you happen to have a data analyst background, hit me up because my company's looking for work. So, people to work. Just hit me up.
You still have
that's the most,
like 45 seconds.
That's the most American thing to do with an American minute was like he went full on capitalism.
Also, I could start. You start. I have nothing to say. Then proceed to talk for 15 seconds.
That was really good. I actually really enjoyed that. You were like, I have nothing to say, and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a minute. And then you were like, wait a minute, hold on. Come work for and/or adjacent to me. Yeah. So nothing like job listing. New sponsor, ZipRecruiter. We're the last podcast on the earth that isn't sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Use the code WorkForKev, ZipRecruiter.com/WorkForKev, and you will be able to work for Kev McCamish. Let me thank our actual sponsors. One, Roughneck Scarves, your home for literally any soccer-related scarf you could think of, as well as personal or fundraiser scarves. Check those guys out, roughneckscarves.com. Super big thank you to DK and the people over at Soccer Loco. If you go on our website, uslshow.com, click the blue and orange box, or if you're colorblind, it's a gray and gray box. Go buy literally anything you could think of. Do you want a, Bork Cal Czech Republic jersey? Go get it. It's probably there. Other things that you could do. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I guess I should thank the podcast network we're on, right? That'd be smart. The lovely Mike Sparks, who is actually not the reason that we're all here, but is pretty close to the reason we're all here, started a whole thing called the Beautiful Game Network about, a year and some change ago?
Year and a half.
And has grown it from, I want to say, like 7 or 8 podcasts to, Lord knows, like 30, which include... a whole bunch, but some of the really cool ones. Backyard Footy with Hugh Roberts, who is a Pittsburgh Riverhounds defender who I want to not play, by the way, this weekend. If you can it's a conflict of interest. So if you could just sit out, that'd be great. As well as Last Line of Defense with Brandon Miller, the former Harrisburg City Islander, former Orange County Blues, former Rochester Rhino, current, which one is it? North Carolina or Charlotte? Charlotte Independence goalkeeper. Also great, just because I love getting player perspectives on podcasts. So definitely go check those out. But super big congratulations to Mike for growing this whole thing into what it is. There's like a written arm of everything. It's really crazy. But I'll stop bigging him up. Go check everything out, bgn.fm or uslnews.com, which is actually what that website is, unlike what Phil wanted it to be like a month ago. Also, I would very much like to thank the 4 people that I do this with on a regular basis, which 3 of them are here. But for Phil, Pony, Kev, Ryan, this podcast would not be anywhere near as entertaining as it is if I talk to myself for an hour every week. And I'm very glad that I basically went to, at least to Kev and Pony. I just went, let's do a thing. And you guys went, okay. And now, what, 1,400 about Twitter followers later, and being able to talk to Sam Dorr, and Phil got to talk to Jake Edwards, and, you know, Brandon Miller was on, Andrew Weber was on, we've had Hugh was on, I've talked to James Chambers. It's the amount of positive feedback that we've gotten from not just teams and front offices and things, because that's always cool to get a nice little pat on the back from the league, but just random people that have reached out to us during the season and said, you know, I got into soccer, or I'm getting into this league because of you guys, has been really cool. So like I said before, I would thank the 50 or 60 or whatever the hell people that we've had on the show, but that would be super exhaustive and a waste of all of our times. And I didn't prepare to do that, so I'm not even going to try. But sincerely thank you to anyone that has listened to or continues to listen to, or God forbid, gives us money on Patreon, patreon.com/the USL show. Yeah, I've been blown away by this whole year. And so like, I'll stop rambling, but yeah, super big thank you to anybody who's told us how not to suck and how not to put up your first episode in mono, you idiots. To hear now when we do live streams on YouTube for a bunch of people. So yeah, I don't know.
We gotta do the Stick to Soccer second episode where
we do. Yeah,
Mystery Science Theater 3000, my movie.
Yeah. We need to figure out when we're all available for that guy, because that'll be a good time. But yeah, I don't know, guys, if you have anyone else you want to thank, besides perhaps our families and or significant others and or cats, for letting us escape for an hour and a half to do this every week, or about every week. Because good Lord, I'm sure at the start of this we went, oh yeah, you know, maybe 300 people listen to it.
I think a lot of them have made accidental appearances on the show, if not all of them. So
all of them. I know we've had some McCamish children crying on the podcast, which whatever.
My wife likes to come up.
I know
a good night kiss sometimes, and I mute it.
Yeah.
Yes, so you don't hear the smooch.
Yeah. And Griffin's been all over this podcast because
the cat at times decides to show up if it's hungry.
Yeah, we'll get out of here. Anyone you guys want to thank before we not like we're not going to do exit interviews and a bunch of shit in the off season, but like just figured put a little bow on things. We'll thank everyone for listening and things like that. But if you guys have anyone in particular,
if there's anybody out in Portland that actually bothers to listen to the show, from my perspective, thank you for your listening.
Yeah, I guess I'll do Kyle Kepner for actually like half recruiting me onto the show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
Honestly, Evan, I think you were the first one to kind of gather everybody, and you just kind of took the reins and started and made it what it is. And you know, your random references that you're too young to know, and the style of the show, and everybody combined with, you know, we would be, you know, I like to say that we would be the soccer version of The View if we didn't have actual stats to support us. So like Ryan actually give us some kind of clout at times and correct me when I say the wrong thing. Thank God. So, you know, it's just been a lot of fun. It's been a good mix, and I'm just so glad people listen. And you know, as Evan said, give us money on Patreon is the biggest compliment. And I'm not asking for more. It's shocking that everyone's willing to do that. So thank you.
Yes.
Patreon.com/the USL show.
There you go, buddy. Good plug. I will say thank you so much to the USL for not telling us to stop immediately. And
super supportive. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah.
We ask for something and they send it our way as soon as possible if they can. It's really good.
So let me thank some of the people behind the scenes on their end of things. Nick Murray,
Aaron Cranford.
Aaron Cranford is lovely. Ryan Madsen, who's the new VP of communications for USL, pretty much just said, hi, do you need anything? And he went, here's, you know, things. Any club that I've had to go through to get player requests and for people to go, oh, hey, we like your show, here's whoever, like, thank you so much. Any player that we've just randomly DM'd who went, yeah, I'll be on your show. Why? I'm sorry you had to listen to me ask you questions in some way, shape, or form, but I'm very glad that you did that. Thank you, Amon Zayad, for chirping me for my intro for James Chambers last week. That was very good. No, they're not paying me enough to do it, but I did it anyway. Yeah, and I think we'll stop there. And again, seriously, anyone that listened to it at all, any of our soccer friends, any of the people that we've had on the show to fill in, whether I told you about it a week in advance or 30 minutes before we went live, thank you so much. I am very glad to call all of you at least my soccer acquaintances, but for far and wide, not only my soccer friends, but people that I value as people. And I think that's 80% of the reason why we're successful. So I'll stop talking. Thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to any episode. Thank you for giving this plays in Africa. Good Lord. That interview with Prosper got people in Zambia listening to the show, which is crazy. So yeah, super cool to see all the output. We would not be doing this if you guys didn't like it. Especially not in this capacity. We'd still talk to each other, but it wouldn't get on record. So hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, we're not going anywhere. Check us out on Thursday. We'll have Mike Watts on, and I'm sure we'll be equally as sappy with that one. But until then, guys, thanks everyone so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.